Welcome to the LitChix podcast. We are Mary Helen Humphrey.
Hello.
Judy Schuler. And I'm Susan Landrigan. And we're coming to you from the Lakeshore Center for the Arts in Westfield, New York. I can't say that. So today we're going to talk about Judy's work. Judy has 2 entries in the International Juice Box Organic One-Act Play Competition at Lakeshore Center for the Arts. Both of her submissions, My Name is Linus and The Nazi's Daughter, made it into the final 10. The Nazi's Daughter was awarded 3rd place for dramas. She's also written 3 books and included in 4 anthologies. Welcome, Judy.
Thank you. Thanks for being a guest today.
My privilege.
So I'm just sort of getting acquainted with you. I know you entered last year, and this year in the play contest, and I was one of the judges. I got to read all those wonderful plays, and I want to say congratulations. I watched the final performance of The Nazi's Daughter. I was blown away. It was amazing.
It was very
Tina
good.
did a wonderful job.
She did,
Absolutely.
and the story too. I mean, it's just, you did a great job. So congratulations on that. That is we have hundreds of entries and from all over the world. So it's really amazing that you placed and did so well.
It was an honor. It was unbelievable to me, really.
I believe they'll probably be opening up for the next year's contest in a couple of months, and they usually announce that. So congratulations. I'm also getting to know you because you came to our writers group here at the center, and I want to know more about the work that you've done with your 3 books previous to meeting you. So can you just tell us a little bit about yourself and how you became a writer and your interest?
Well, I became a writer, I guess, because I grew up in a farm in Wisconsin, and the kitchen table was always covered with newspapers and magazines, and my job as I got older was to clear the table so we could set the table for supper. And I guess that really led me into nonfiction. My first job was as a staff writer for a newspaper in St. Paul, Minnesota. And then I decided I wanted to go someplace, not just as a visitor, but to live for a while. So I got a job through the federal government in Anchorage, Alaska.
Ooh.
And I soon learned that working for the government was not for me, but Alaska was my home of heart, I call it. So shortly after, I went to work for the newspaper in Anchorage, and that was really the beginning of my writing life. Then my husband was transferred to Juneau. Alaska is a spectacularly beautiful place. For those of you who have not been there, you should go. And when I got to Juneau after a period of time, I decided to start a tour business. The cruise ships come into Juneau. At the time that I started out with my tour, we had like 250,000 passengers on cruise ships, and that was like a phenomenal year. Well, now it's well over 1 million every year that come into this tiny downtown area. But I started out meeting the cruise ships, holding up a sign, offering sightseeing and local tours. And that's how I started. And another woman about the same time started it, Hildegard. So we both were lined up at the docks with our vans.
Yeah.
And I kept her...
So that's this book here, red and blue?
Red and blue. So every day I kept a trip report, and I would make a note of where we saw wildlife, where the flowers were, and just kind of through the seasons, and things that people said that just stood out to me. So after a period of time, someone said, well, you should write a book. And so that's kind of how Red and Blue started. I had a red van. I wore all red. That was my shtick. And Hildegard wore all blue, had a blue van. That was her shtick.
I like Hildegard.
Yes, blue. Blue is good. So that Red and Blue is just a story of vignettes of it's a lot of description of Alaska, of Southeast Alaska, of the natural history, and of why people travel, what they said, and just interesting things. And the second book, Safe Harbor, is a story of friendship. I went to Alaska by myself. I didn't know anybody. I met my husband in Anchorage. And friendship has just been a huge part of my life. And at one point, a friend did something that really touched me. And so that was kind of the beginning of the book. And I had 5 friends that I consider good friends. And I wrote each of them a letter and said, this is why I value our friendship. And that was kind of the beginning. So a book starts with my friendship with these 5 longtime friends. And then
That's a
I talked
lovely
to,
idea.
yeah, and I mean, friendship is just like so important. And then I started talking about to other people. Many of them right here from Chautauqua County tell me about your stories of friendship. And so there's all kinds of friendships between old and young, and men and women, and guys, and just the different aspects of it, and dogs, and could be cats.
Could be cats, yes. My cats are my friends. I'm curious how long it took you to write Safe Harbor, your friendship book.
I'd say from the first time I wrote probably about 5 years from the time I first wrote the letters to the people, and then got it together. And I had the launch party. It was like February of 2020, and a couple weeks later, everything closed.
Right. Have you thought of doing a relaunch party? We'd be happy to do that, right? We do that here at the center.
Right.
I want to just talk a little bit about this notion of friendship because, as Susan said, it's really important. One of the reasons I actually moved to Westfield from the boonies the wilderness where I was, is because I was so isolated. As we get older, especially, I think friendships are
Become more important, I think.
very important. It's for your for your emotional and mental health, but also physically. You know, it's nice to know that, especially if you're single and live alone, that there's people around you, and so I think that's an amazing to put that into a book and to have those different kinds of friendship. I'm looking at, older women friendships, but as you said, there's all through your life, there's different friendships.
Right. The first one in this book I met in 2nd grade, I think.
Wow.
And so that has continued. 2 of them, I guess the rest were all from Alaska.
Well, I was invited to this party a few weeks ago, and I'm the new person, right? I've only lived here a couple of years, and everybody sitting in this circle has lived in this area their whole life. And so they were talking and discussing when they were in school and what teachers they had and all of these interesting stories that they shared in their friendship. And I'm the outside observer because I don't have any of that. I moved so much. I never had those long-term childhood friends, and so I'm fascinated by that. I think that's just really cool. So whether it's a new friend or an old friend, right? Yeah.
And then you wrote a book about haiku.
I did. The conventional wisdom is if you're going to be a writer, you have a schedule, you sit down, 4 or 5 hours every day in front of the computer, whether or not you feel like writing. Well, that's not me.
Not me either.
I'm very undisciplined. So last year, as a form of discipline, I decided I would write a haiku every day. And to keep myself honest, I would post it on a blog, because I had a couple people that were watching it, and I thought, well, if I miss a day, they're going to get on me, right?
Yeah.
So again, people said, well, you should do a book. I said, well, I don't know that they were that good. But it's something that everybody can do. I'm not a poet, but everybody can do haiku. It can be something very simple, or it can be something that's very deeply philosophical.
Maybe just explain what a haiku is.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
A haiku is based on Japanese poetry, and it's been translated in many languages around the world. Our version, in English pretty much, it's 3 lines. The first and third lines have 5 syllables, and the second line has 7 syllables. So it's a matter of not only finding the words, but finding the words that meet that formula. And thank you, Thesaurus Online, for finding words. And typically it also is something about nature.
Okay.
So I'm doing it again this year, and I think I'm going to do one next year, a little different version. I'm going to call it porch haiku, because I can sit on my porch and birds, flowers. Obviously, I'm not going to be on the porch too much longer with the change in weather. But looking out the window, just being out in nature, being observant, and then somehow recording it and what it means to you.
That's
or
really,
what it means,
that's
you know.
really, I love that you have set this goal. I mean, I've talked about this before, the annual NaNoWriMo thing, which is every year writing 50,000 word first draft, which is now not going to happen because they've gone defunct. But in place of that this year, I'm sort of doing what you did. I read this thing by Ray Bradbury that if you write a short story every week for a year, you can't write 52 bad short stories. And so I'm working hard to prove him wrong. But I am on track. I'm up to story 33, I think it is.
Wow.
And so but I never thought I could do it. It's kind of like, I think about writing a haiku every day. How neat is that? Maybe the problem is I get attracted to these things like a shiny new toy or something, and I start adopting it. But I think that's really important and interesting from the writing standpoint, that you're making yourself, or you're challenging yourself. It's really, I don't view it as a drudgery. I view it as kind of fun. And I bet you've surprised yourself a few times.
Well, there's a few days when I'm thinking, oh, it's 8 o'clock. What am I going to do now?
Well,
So I have a few kind of in the bank, that I kind of pull out. But yes, it is surprising, the things that you don't notice until you really think, well, I need to pay attention.
Yeah, and then the fact that you have to craft these words to these certain number of syllables. And that's a real, I guess I'm thinking as an older person, like doing Sudoku or crossword puzzles or whatever, to keep your mind working.
It is. It's like a word game in a sense.
Yes. That's really, really neat. I'm going to have to think about
Now,
that.
Judy, do you know, or do any of us know, if the plays are on the website at Lakeshore Center for the Arts?
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
They are. I don't know if they still are.
I think
They
they are.
should be up.
Yeah.
So if
Yes.
people want to see them.
Yes.
Yes.
Your plays were My Name is Linus and The
Nazi's Daughter.
Nazi's Daughter.
Yeah, there were a total of 10 plays. So in addition to her,
And I enjoyed them both very
yeah,
much.
they were all wonderful. I thought they did a really great
So
job.
maybe we should talk about the Writers' Conference
Well,
that's coming up.
we are so excited here at Lakeshore Center for the Arts because we received a grant from Northern Chautauqua Community Fund to help us create the first annual Western New York Writers' Conference. This is a big deal to me because I feel like we need our writers' conference. There's a lot of writers, you know a lot of writers, Judy, and I'm finding everywhere I turn, my neighbors are writers, got novels, we need our conference so we can get together, network, learn from each other, bring in some really interesting professional people to share information with us about publishing and editing and fiction and nonfiction and all these kind of things. So on October 11th, which is a Saturday, we have a whole day planned as a writers' conference for Western New York, so anybody can come. We don't mind if you're in Erie, we'll let you come. But it's going to be held right here at the Arts Center. I think it's 49 South Portage Street. I believe that's the address here. 49 South Portage Street. General admission is $79, which is really a bargain. Most of the writers' conferences I attend are a lot more than that, but that's because we have a grant to help us. It includes some really neat swag. It includes free lunch, a really nice catered lunch, and it includes a full day of workshops. If you are an author like you are, you can bring your books. We're going to have places where you can display and even sell your books if you want. And we have a limited number of slots, about 20, where you can sign up, and until they fill, you can sign up to have a 5-minute presentation of your book. So you can pick a book and say, I'm going to talk about my new book or my old book or whatever it is for 5 minutes to the group. if you're interested, go to lakeshorecenterforthearts.com and just click on the registration form under the writers program. And so I think I covered it. Did I?
I think so.
Cover
And
everything?
yeah, we'll include the flyer.
Yeah, we have a flyer that we will put with this.
Okay. Well, thank you for spending time with us today. We value your feedback, and we'll see you next time.